She looked like she came from a perfect wealthy family. A huge house, tall gates, a quiet, protected life. But one small detail didn't add up. And when he finally stepped inside that house, he realized she had been lying to him from the very beginning. Sarah knew she wouldn't be able to carry all of this by herself. The farmer's market was unusually good that morning. Fresh peaches, red apples, sweet grapes. She bought more than she planned. Much more. Now several heavy paper bags cut into her fingers, and her arms were already aching. She sighed. There was only one option left. She would have to order an Uber. Sarah walked between the stalls looking for a place to set the bags down. She had just spotted one when someone suddenly burst out of a small organic store. The collision was instant. The bags flew from her hands. One ripped open. Apples rolled across the pavement. "I'm so sorry, that was my fault!" The man dropped to his knees, already gathering the fruit. His name was Paul. An hour earlier, Paul had stormed out of his father's house. Another argument. Another fight about money and responsibility. Anger made him careless, and now, standing there on the pavement, he felt ashamed. "I don't know how I'll carry all this now," Sarah said quietly. "Let me help you. My car is nearby, please." She hesitated, then nodded. "I'm Paul, and just so you know, I'm not a serial killer." Sarah laughed. "Funny, I was thinking that. I'm Sarah." They loaded the groceries into his car and got inside. Paul drove slower than usual. He wanted the ride to last. "Can I ask you something?" Paul said. "Would it be strange if I asked you out?" "Not strange," Sarah replied, "but only Saturday." Paul smiled. "Saturday is perfect." They stopped in front of a large house with tall gates and security cameras. "You live here?" Paul asked. "Yes, my parents bought it recently." Paul couldn't stop thinking about it. The house was enormous, too perfect. That evening he told his father about Sarah. "Something doesn't add up," his father said slowly. "If her family is that wealthy, why does she carry groceries alone?" Paul felt it too. Something was wrong. Over the next 2 months, Paul and Sarah slowly became part of each other's lives. They didn't rush. They met after work, cooked simple dinners, walked through quiet streets late at night. Sarah never asked for gifts, never hinted at money. She paid for coffee as often as Paul did. Paul noticed how carefully she listened, how she remembered small details, how she always showed up exactly when she said she would. Sometimes, when he offered to drive her home, she asked him to stop a block early. He didn't question it. She spoke little about her family, but a lot about values, about honesty, about building a life from the ground up. Paul introduced her to his father. They got along instantly. For the first time in years, Paul felt calm about the future. By the end of those 2 months, he wasn't guessing anymore. He was certain. Sarah wasn't a chapter in his life. She was the life he wanted to build. Paul proposed. Sarah said yes. He dressed up as a courier and arrived at Sarah's house. Paul entered the house, and inside, he saw Sarah, wearing a maid's apron. Everything became clear. Paul stood frozen in the doorway. For a moment, his mind refused to accept what his eyes were seeing. Sarah stood in the middle of the living room, wearing a simple maid's apron. She was wiping dust from a shelf. Not a guest, not a daughter, an employee. Their eyes met. Her face went pale. Paul turned and walked out without saying a word. He drove aimlessly for nearly an hour. Questions collided in his head. Why lie? Why pretend? Why live inside a life that wasn't hers? That night, he told his father everything. "She's not their daughter," Paul said quietly. "She works there. She's a housekeeper." His father didn't react right away. "Then she's hiding something big," he finally said. "And whatever it is, she's terrified of losing you." The next evening, Sarah called. Her voice was calm, too calm. "Come tomorrow at 5, she said. "You and your father. I'll explain everything, I promise." The line went dead. Paul barely slept that night. When they arrived, the security guard hesitated, but Sarah appeared almost immediately and waved him off. Inside, the house felt different, heavier. The owners were already there, a wealthy businessman and his wife. The man looked irritated. "Sarah, if you don't explain what's happening right now, you're fired." Sarah nodded. "I understand. But I'm quitting anyway." She turned to Paul. "What I'm about to tell you is the reason I never wanted you to meet them. 23 years ago," Sarah began, "a baby girl was born in this house." The man shifted in his chair. "That child was unwanted." She looked directly at him. "You married your wife for her money. And when she became pregnant, you saw the child as a threat." The woman gasped softly. "You were sick after childbirth," Sarah continued, turning to her. "Weak, depressed, dependent on medication." The man stood up. "That's enough." "No," the wife said quietly. "Let her speak." Sarah took a breath. "While you were sedated, he took the baby." The room went silent. "He put her in a bag and left her behind a trash container 2 blocks away." Paul felt his stomach drop. "He told you the baby died," Sarah said, "and made sure you never questioned it." The woman collapsed into the chair. "The baby didn't die," Sarah continued. "An elderly man found her. He and his wife had no children. They raised her as their own." Sarah's voice trembled. "That baby was me. I grew up loved," Sarah said. "But when my adoptive parents died, I found documents, hospital records, missing child reports, a trail that led here. I didn't come for revenge. I came for answers. I got a job here to be close, to watch, to understand." She turned to Paul. "I never planned to fall in love. And when I did, I was terrified. Afraid you'd see me as someone pretending to be better than she was." Sarah opened a folder. DNA test. Medical records. Witness statements. The wife looked at the papers, then at her husband. "Call the police," she whispered. He tried to leave. Paul blocked the door. The police arrived within minutes. This time, money didn't help. Sarah looked at Paul. "I didn't lie because I wanted to deceive you. I lied because I didn't want to lose you." Paul stepped closer. "You didn't pretend to be rich," he said. "You pretended to be safe." 2 months later, Paul and Sarah were married. She had 2 mothers and 1 real father, a family finally complete. If this story touched you, support it with a like. And if you believe real stories matter, subscribe. Because every life has a story worth telling.